Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video we're going to talk about VLANs and how to configure VLAN. So VLAN actually is a short form of virtual LAN. So virtual LAN in definition provides segmentation and organizational flexibility, and it provides a way to group devices within a physical LAN. So they provide better security, cost reduction, better performance, and of course, reduces the size of broadcast demands and things like that. So when you see like companies where different category of employees are communicating into different segment of the LAN or the network, so that's where they use the VLAN to separate them. For example, HR people can communicate with HR departments, with any employee who are working in the HR department, but they cannot directly communicate with the customer service people. Or customer service people, they can communicate with any other customer service colleague or coworker in the floor, but they will not be able to communicate directly with the people in management. And the reason for that is because they are using VLANs and they are dividing that physical VLAN into smaller groups between the employees. And that's really, really good, for the security of our network and for the security of our data transfers that, let's say, HR people, they are using different or transferring data that sales people don't need to have access to, or they should not have access to, or management, they are transferring data or information that customer service people shouldn't have access to or may not have access to. So that's the whole purpose of the VLAN. So VLAN is going to be a very long topic, and it is of course one of the most important topic. As a network or as an IT professional, you should know VLANs like the back of your hand. So let's go ahead and try to create our topology here. So for this topology, for today's topology, we're going to need a router, and then we are going to need a switch and at least a 2 PC that we can assign each PC into a different VLAN. But I personally am going to use 4 PCs instead for simulation purposes and for better understanding how VLANs work. So let's go ahead and do our cabling here. Okay, so we have PC 12, 13, 14, and 15. Perfect. So we are going to assign PC 12 a IP address of 172.16.1.10/24, and it's going to be on VLAN 10, and we're going to name that VLAN 10 green. So the same thing with our PC 13. It's going to be, the IP address is going to be 11/24 VLAN 10, and the name of the VLAN is going to be green. And then 14 and 15 is going to be in VLAN 20, so we're going to assign an IP address of 192.168.1.10 for PC 14, and then we're going to be in VLAN 20. We are going to name this one right. So you can name your VLANs anything that you want to, which is easy for you. So here I'm naming this VLANs green or red just for demonstration purposes only. So PC 15 is going to be 11. Okay. So let's go ahead and assign the IP addresses to the PCs. And okay. Since it's a/24, we need to be 255.255.255.0. And I'm going to use the first available IP address on this subnet. That's our default gateway. Do the same thing with the other PC on the VLAN. This one is 11. So again, we need to change this to a /24 prefix. Alright, so we're on PC 14 now. Let's assign the IP addresses for our VLAN 10 PCs. /24. Alright, so now we have to configure the ports that are connected to our PCs. So we're going to go ahead to configure terminal and interface 01, switch port mode access, switch port access VLAN 10. Okay. Since we forgot to create the VLANs first, so as soon as you try to configure a port and try to assign it to a VLAN which is not already created on your switch, so switch port access VLAN 10, as you can see here, automatically created VLAN 10 for me. That's good, but it's a good practice all the time. Remember to configure your VLANs first and put all the information that you want to. So since that VLAN is already created, so we don't really worry about it, and we will continue to configure other ports. So we're going to configure port 4 to VLAN 10 as well. So we access VLAN 20. So since VLAN 20 was not created, it create a VLAN 20 for us as well. So let's go ahead and name our VLAN. So, oops, my apologies. So interface F04 is supposed to be on VLAN 10. As you can see here, but by mistake, I assigned it to VLAN 20. So let's go back and fix the problem. So these things can happen, all the time. I've heard about it from a lot of people that they have done this. So this is why, we have to be very careful. So in a network, for when you're working for a company, so there might be like hundreds of VLANs, and this can happen. This is a problem that can happen easily, and of course can be avoided easily. So switch port access VLAN 10. So as soon as we apply VLAN 10, it automatically removes VLAN 20 from the port configuration. Okay, so we are done with the VLAN assignment for VLAN 10, and let's go ahead and try to assign VLAN for our VLAN 20 interfaces to VLAN 20 as well. Interface port number 2, switch port mode access, port access VLAN 20, and interface 03, port mode access, source access, VLAN 20, exit. Let's go ahead and create our VLANs here. VLAN. So, my apologies, VLAN is created, so we're just going to name them green or red, whatever we want to name them. Green, then 20, then red. Okay, perfect. So let's go ahead and verify our configuration and make sure everything is as we want it to be. Okay. Interface 1, interface 2, interface 3, interface 4. Our configures access ports and the VLANs are assigned to them already. And let's see if I can ping from PC 12 to PC 13, which they are the same VLAN. Here we are. Our ping is successful from PC 12 to PC 13. Again, these both PCs are on the same VLAN. Let's try to ping our 192.168.110 PC, which is on VLAN 20, and see if we can ping it. Timeout. Okay. Let's see what happens next. Timeout again. And you probably may know the reason why our ping is failing to 198.168.110. And the reason for that is because these two ports or these two PCs are on different VLANs. And we cannot reach them using a single switch in between. And that's why we need to configure sub-interfaces and we need to configure INter-VLAN routing protocol. So to be able to ping VLAN 20 from VLAN 10, we need a router, or we can use a layer 3 switch instead. So what we need to do right now is we need to configure port 5, this port right here connected to the router, as a trunk port, and we allow both VLANs to pass through this trunk port to the router and pass information back and forth for us. Oops. Switch port mode trunk. So as you can see, like the commands are very similar. Like we were configuring the access ports. So switch port mode access, and for trunk we put switch port mode trunk, and then switch port trunk allow VLAN 10, 20. Okay, now that we have configured the trunk port, the access ports, and we assign the IP addresses for our PCs, we are actually done configuring the switch. So for the very last time, let's go ahead and verify our configuration here. Okay, as you can see, interface first Ethernet 05 is configured as a trunk port, and then we assign VLAN 10 and 20 to this port. Okay, now we need to go ahead and configure the router here. So enable configure terminal. So we're going to configure port gigabit 0/0/0. Okay, no shutdown. So the reason why I entered no shutdown after entering into the port configuration mode, because we don't need to assign the IP address in this physical port here. Now we need to create sub interfaces for our VLAN 10, we need a sub-interface for VLAN 10, and we need a sub-interface for VLAN 20. And we can have assign only one sub-interface per VLAN. So this is how we are going to create our sub-interfaces. Interface G/0 0/0/0 dot 10. So the whole purpose of this command here, interface G0/0/0 dot 10, is that we are specifying that this sub-interface is going to be configured for our VLAN 10. Okay, boom. So as you can see, our interface is into upstate right now. But remember, always and always, and make it a habit to issue the no shutdown command on any interface. Believe me, you don't want to have your network, going down, or that interface going down, and you need to waste 10-15 minutes troubleshooting and then finding out, okay, wow, you didn't issue the no shutdown command. So now we have to set the encapsulation. So this is going to be .1q and then space 10. Again, we put 10 here because this port is going to be assigned for our VLAN 10 traffic. And then here is where we're going to assign our IP address, or so this IP address is going to be our default gateway for VLAN 10. So it's going to be 172.16.1.1.255.255.0. That's it. I'm going to issue the no shutdown command at all times. Okay, so we are done configuring our sub-interface for VLAN 10. So now we are going to configure another sub-interface for VLAN 20. So we're going to use the same commands here, except we put 20 here, and then we do our encapsulation. P4 20, and then we do the IP address. This is going to be the IP address or the default gateway for our VLAN 20. Okay, so let's go ahead and try to verify if our pings are still working here. Okay, good. So again, we can ping from PC12 to PC13, which is in the same VLAN, and let's go ahead and ping the VLAN 20 devices. So previously, as you can see right here, our ping failed from this PC12 to PC14. But let's see what happens this time after configuring these 7 interfaces. Okay, here we are. Now we can ping our PC14 or VLAN 20 from VLAN 10 after configuring the 7 interfaces or INter-VLAN routing protocol. So as I was saying previously, that instead of having a router here, we can choose a layer 3 switch and then do the same thing that we did on the router and perform or configure INter-VLAN routing protocol into the switch, and there's going to be no need for the router that we have here. So any router that you see here, any switch that you can see here, anything that says 3560 or 30 something, so that's going to be a layer 3 switch. Anything above 3000 is going to be a layer 3 switch. So let's say 2560, that's a layer 2 switch. 3560, that's a layer 3 switch. 3650, that's a layer 3 switch. So this series go up in, until like 6,000. So all those switches, anything above 3,000 is going to be a layer 3 switch. So thank you for watching in today's video. If you have any questions, comments, please do not hesitate to write it in the comment section. I try to be as prompt as possible. And of course, do not forget to give a thumb up and subscribe to the channel. That actually will encourage me to post and create more contents that we can use as students to learn more and more every day.